Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Or should I say good morning or good evening, depending where you are today. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Dune and Friends. Hope you're well today and you're enjoying the warm weather that we're starting to have here. Today, we have a special guest joining us all the way from the Ontario area and Ontario, Canada. And we have Michel Neray is joining us from out east, and we're going to spend an hour here talking about several different things. We're going to talk about powerful storytelling, purposeful storytelling, as well as we're going to talk a little bit about motivation and inspiration and a lot of community service in that area. And we're going to talk also about music. So three things that may be of interest to many of you folks out there. Listen, our viewers out there, if you can hear me, let me know that you can hear me, and feel free to comment along the way. So let me just do a quick introduction before I bring Michel on the screen here. So Michel Neray has helped thousands of individuals craft and perform purposeful stories to become more effective leaders and salespeople, coaches, teachers, trainers, speakers, as well as influencers of all types. He also uses purposeful storytelling to move effectively, differentiate the position and brand of organizations in the marketplace. Michel combines a science degree from the University of Waterloo, an MBA from McGill University, and a career in creative marketing and copywriter, advertising agency director, and marketing executive. So all of those work together. A visionary and entrepreneurial game changer, he created the world's first online searchable directory of creative professionals back in 1995. This was before Google, folks. Michel co-authored the Great Crossover, which is a book that he written, and which made it into Jack Canfield's Achievers Recommended Reading List. He has spoken at conferences in more than 8 countries worldwide and founded momondays in 2012 as a monthly variety show that combines storytelling, comedy, and live music. momondays has since expanded to more than 12 cities. To learn more about momondays, visit www.momondays.com. To book Michel for a conference and corporate event or get private coaching and consulting, visit his website at www.neray.com. So NERAY.com. So with that introduction, please join me in welcoming our guest today, Michel Neray. I am well. How are you doing?
There I am.
There you are.
I was listening to the introduction and I was thinking, who is this guy he's talking about? He sounds interesting.
He sounds pretty cool.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, Michel. And so tell us a bit more. Tell us the backstory beyond the introduction. Tell us about Michel.
Oh, God, which backstory do you want?
Any which one you want.
Well, you mentioned purposeful storytelling. You mentioned momondays, which is also about storytelling. So, and you also mentioned my background as a advertising marketer and copywriter, creative director. And yes, it's true. All of those kind of meld together into one with the kind of work that I do and what I'm passionate about today. And it really comes from, I used to be known, my title, in fact, on some websites, you'll still see Chief Differentiation Officer. I earned a reputation in my marketing career as someone who's able to help my clients really hone in on their differentiation in the market, their position, their unique selling proposition. There are a whole bunch of words that people use, unique value proposition. I was able to help them hone in on it very quickly. And what I found was that every time I did that, there was always a story. Every time we got to the core of their differentiation, there was a story. And it wasn't a story about why I do what I do. It's not why I am a a consultant, or why I sell this widget, or why I am in politics, or why, it's not that why, but it's why I do, how I do what I do. See, what I do is they're taken. Those are the categories, the boxes we work in, we live in. But why I do, how I do, that's where our differentiation lives. And there's always a story about why I do whatever I do in my particular way, my approach, my way of looking at the world. And that's when I got to, we're talking like, long before storytelling became a buzzword. Now everybody's talking about storytelling. But 15, 20 years ago, oh my God, I'm dating myself, literally 18 years ago, which was the year I joined CAPS, incidentally, the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers.
Yes.
That, I've been really sensitized to that, that the story is where your differentiation lives. And your story is the most compelling, most engaging, most powerful way to communicate that differentiation. That kind of got me on the path of storytelling. That blossomed into personal storytelling, realized that the stories we tell ourselves is how we interpret our view of the world around us. And if we could shift our own story, we can shift our lives. So all of the story is just so powerful.
Yeah. And you do it in both sort of personal development situations as well as corporate development, right? So quite, which one do you do more of? Do you more corporations and government, or do you do more of the sort of individuals kind of coaching? Mix?
So a very smart life coach once told me, or very smart coach once told me, he said, at the core, all coaching, whether it's business coaching or any other kind of coaching or sports coaching, all coaching is life coaching. All coaching is in here. So when I said earlier that when I helped my clients dig deep to their core differentiation, I always found a story. It was always a personal story.
Yeah. Just remind me of, people talk about the inner game of golf, inner game of tennis. There's also the inner game of business and inner game of leadership, isn't there?
Well, and that's a great way of saying it. The inner game is everything. You could have two athletes who are who want it just as badly, who train just as hard, but there's something in their inner game that makes the difference. In fact, you just reminded me. I can't remember her name. This young tennis player that did amazingly well. And she said, she uses mindfulness every single day. It's not something she just discovered when she started training for this big tennis match, but it's something she's been doing for 10 years, training her mind to do it. So yeah, very, very important.
Absolutely. So there you go. You work on the inner game of life. Yeah. So you mentioned CAPS for our viewers out there. That's my connection with Michel is through CAPS, so the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers. And I joined back in 2010, so a few years before you did.
A few years after.
After. Yeah, see, I lost my bearing.
Dune,
There you go. I got distracted. Tell us more about now. Recently, I'm just going to preview a little bit. Recently, you got deep into music. I guess as we get older, we kind of spend more time on what truly resonate with us. And while you love helping with people with purposeful stories and all those business stuff and corporate things, music has been kind of an undercurrent, and you've been spending more time with that lately, right?
I absolutely have. So, as we all do, we get to junctures in our lives and say, do I go this way or do I go that way? I remember leaving high school, says, do I go into music or do I go into chemistry?
Mm-hmm.
Well, chemistry won. So I got my bachelor's of science from University of Waterloo. And then I got that and I said, do I go into music or do I go into business?
Mm-hmm.
Well, business won. I got my MBA from McGill University.
Yeah.
And then I said, but I still have this very strong creative side of me that needs to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got me into the whole advertising and marketing world, which really is it's more businessy, but there's a major blend of art, creativity. Creativity is huge. And for me, it was a way to put the two together. But there's still this little thing in the back of my head, for music. And, in my 30s, I took singing lessons. I sang Italian arias and, took vocal training and all that stuff. And it never really left me. 10 years ago, I did started in karaoke, then went to live band karaoke, then reasonably not a phenomenally great singer, but I'd be able to hold my own.
Oh, definitely you hold your own.
My friends, my professional musician friends call me up on stage and sing a song. Like, really, that was my progression. Can't go back to karaoke now. It just drives me up a wall. But absolutely, it was crucial. And then another colleague speaker of ours, Stephanie Staples.
Absolutely.
Who figures highly in my life for a number of reasons. But this is one. She was in my kitchen and she had her new friend with her new friend being her ukulele. And I remember, it brought back memories of trying to learn guitar as a little kid and just being hopeless. Classmates made fun of me. And how we use these experiences and we make decisions about ourselves based on them and beliefs about what we can do, what can't do. And this became a limiting belief that I'd never be able to play guitar or a stringed instrument. Just figured I didn't have the rhythm or the whatever. I'd never be able to do it. But so here was Stephanie in my kitchen and she takes her ukulele out and she bashes out a few chords and if she's listening right now, please forgive me. I never known Stephanie to have any musical ability, and she was good. She was great. Like, she's a great singer. She's a great player. And and all of a sudden I had this thought that says, well, if Stephanie can do it, if Stephanie can do it, well, then maybe. So I took her ukulele, I bashed out a few chords that I remembered from guitar, and I thought, maybe, just maybe, I could do this. Well, she was staying at my house. She left. After she left, I went out and I got a ukulele. I was going on a canoe trip, and so I got a plastic one that would be okay around water, and worst comes to worst, I could use it as a paddle. And tormented my fellow campers. And but I kept at it. When I got home, I put it in the bathroom because, again, I knew it would be okay around water. And I also knew that every day I would play for 5 minutes. That 5 minutes turned into 10 minutes, turned into 20 minutes. My wife would be like, "Hey, Michelle, are you okay in there?" Practicing. And then that turned into my playing at a cafe, and then bass player heard me and said, "Hey, I'll play with you." And then he said, "I think we need a percussionist," because my timing wasn't so good. So we brought on a percussionist, and then we became a trio, and then we kept at it. So my 5 minutes a day literally turned into not just 20 minutes a day, but 20 minutes a day in the morning, then an hour and a half at night, plus 2 to 3 hours rehearsal. And we started getting gigs, and we started getting a following. And let me tell you, my experience as a professional speaker really helped.
Absolutely.
I mean, not to say that singing is anything like speaking, but half the battle is entertaining the audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was comfortable doing that. And that kept me, that actually allowed us to gloss over all the musical mistakes that I was making.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that I just kept on growing from there. Funny you should ask. I wasn't expecting to talk about that. And then that blossomed into another creative outlet, which I started writing songs. In fact, I think 2 days ago, I just finished a song that we might use as a theme song for Momondays, all about the power of story.
Absolutely.
How's that for a long-winded answer to a simple question?
Love it, love it, love it. And in fact, I'm going to play a clip for our viewers here. And that clip is of you having lots of fun with the ukulele here. Do you have a name for the thing? I know Stephanie has a name for her.
No, I don't. I'm looking at it now. I've got too many ukuleles. Stephanie still just has one or two. I've got like 9 guitars.
You have the typical affliction that many of us guitarists tend to have, right? One is not enough. So I'm going to play the video here. I believe this is the one. I'll just be off camera here. Feel free to introduce it. I will bring it on screen here. This one right here.
Yes, that one. So let me tell you about this one. Every week I do a live stream, Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which people could look at the Jacques Russell Trio Facebook page. And we have a bit of a following, and we have a few fans, and this one fan keeps asking for Jambalaya. So this is Jambalaya by Hank Williams. Hank Williams, being another incredible musician, only wrote something like 23 songs, every single one of them genius. 2 chords, this entire song. Go. Goodbye, Joe. We gotta go. Me, oh my, oh. This is for Patty. We gotta go pull the pirogue down the bayou. My Yvonne, the sweetest one. Me, oh my, oh. Son of a gun, we have big fun on the bayou. A T-Bordeaux, a Fontainebleau, the place is a buzzing. A kinfolk come to see Yvonne by the dozen. Dress in style, go hog wild, me oh my oh. Son of a gun, we have big fun on the bayou. You ready? A jambalaya and a crawfish pie and a filet gumbo. 'Cause tonight I'm gonna see Mama share a meal. I pick guitar, fill fruit jar, and be gay, yo. Son of a gun, we have big fun on the bayou. Later on, I swap my mom, buy me a pirogue. Gonna catch all the fish on the bayou. Swap my mom to buy Yvonne what you need, oh. Son of a gun, we have big fun on the bayou. Okay, Patty, you ready? Jambalaya and a crawfish pie and a filet gumbo. 'Cause tonight I'm gonna see Mama share a meal. I pick guitar, fill fruit jar, and be gay, yo. Son of a gun, we have big fun on the bayou. A jambalaya and a crawfish pie and a filet gumbo. 'Cause tonight I'm gonna see Mama share a meal. A big guitar, fill fruit jar, and be gay, yo. Son of a gun, we have big fun on the bayou. Son of a gun, we have big fun on the bayou. Son of a gun, we have big fun on the bayou.
Fantastic.
I love playing that song. And clearly some other people. By the way, leave that picture up. Let me introduce you to the members of my band, because they are amazing, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it weren't for them. So my percussionist, our percussionist, Pierre Legendre. I mean, like we're talking about serious talent here. He used to be the drummer in Shania Twain's band, the live touring band, and Abby Scholzberg on the other side. He's been around for 50 years. He's won jazz awards. Some of us heard of Woodstock. Some of us, saw the movie Woodstock. This guy was there. Like that's like he's and like and I have to tell you, we all have these feelings of self-doubt. Normal, happens to all of us. And I said, why do you guys want to play with me? And I've seen them. Because Abby is like in 15 different bands. He's put off other gigs to play with me. And it's, why? Like, are you sure? Are you sure you want? Are you sure? Like, it's just. And finally, he got annoyed with me in the most beautiful way. He said, "Shut up, Michel. We like playing with you. You're a decent singer. You're a good songwriter, and we have a good time." I said, "Okay." And and he said, "You're a good front man." And that's when I realized, what? We all have different skills to bring to the party. And my 20 years as a professional speaker helps me be that good front man, which he values so much.
Yeah. And that's a great story. And by the way, your background and education in marketing and connections and all that doesn't hurt either in the securing gigs and just getting in front of people. I've been watching you do a lot of live streams as well. Tell us about that. You're right deep into that, aren't you?
Well, when COVID hit, so at first I got bummed out. And then I thought, well, I guess I'm going to have to learn a whole bunch of new software. And I did. So if you leave that screen on just for a little bit, I tell you, I felt for the first month of lockdown, I felt like, a teenager holed up in his bedroom playing video games, and his mom shouts down, "Come down for dinner." I said, "I can't, Mom. I'm close to my high score." Like I was learning all this new streaming software, internet software. Like I couldn't let it go. So I use this thing called OBS, Open Broadcast Systems. I don't know if you know this. It allows me to pull in different backgrounds. So that background, you see this here. What I did was I took a picture of us playing at a local venue. I airbrushed me out of it. So we've got Pierre and Abby still in. And sometimes we've got Natalie Wong, a phenomenal violin player. And you see our little mascot, Jacques Roussel. He's right here. And so I live stream, push it out to Facebook. So when I do MoTV for Mo Mondays, we bring Zoom into OBS and then push that. I mean, like stuff that I really couldn't care less about 2 months ago.
Yeah, you bet. No, I've been using OBS. It is great for a number of things, and it's free.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to have to move up to Ecamm because now Ecamm can't. I can't do some things that I want to do with OBS.
Yes,
but I can do with the paid version. Yeah.
You have hit your limit and evolved from there. So great. Thank you for sharing that. And I know that music is a common thread among many of us. Many of our listeners now and later may, in fact, be some of my musician friends and some of yours as well. And so it just so happened that we got into music early on in the broadcast here. But certainly we're going to get into many other conversations about, purposeful storytelling, about really leadership development, about all of those other aspects as well. But before we leave sort of music here, tell us what it means to you to be spending so much time with music these days, performing, playing gigs and writing songs and whatnot. Is it a bit of a dream come true?
Oh, it's more than a bit of a dream come true. Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, it just seems like the most obvious logical next step for me because creativity, it's another form of creativity. It's another form of storytelling. It's another a form of stage performance. I strongly believe and in fact, this is how one of the reasons why I got into karaoke in the first place. I just believe in the power of cross training. As a speaker, take every single opportunity to get on stage. My earliest training for other speakers, I would do karaoke, because it's important for us as speakers, train our voice, know how to use our voice like we use our body in as an actor would, and singing, vocal training, and any kind of stage performance is part of that. So I believe in the value of cross training. And so yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question. Has it been a big dream come true? Absolutely. And never in a million years would I've expected to be writing the songs that I'm writing now.
Right.
Yeah.
And and such a convergence. I mean, you do a lot of charity work as well. I know on the weekend. Tell us about the weekend. I've been watching you on the weekend. I saw that. Tell us about the weekend. What you did there.
Some friends of ours organize a walk to Niagara, so Toronto to Niagara, every year in support of. They raise money for refugees who are having a hard time, need to settle here or have trouble establishing themselves here, or just getting the paperwork to come here. And they're amazing people. I love them. Do a lot of good work. And of course, this year, nobody is walking to Niagara. Nobody's really getting out of their homes. It's just starting to now. But so they said, okay, what do we do? And they organized this 24-hour entertainment-a-thon. I just made that word up. I don't know if that's what they called it. And they asked me to submit a number of video pieces in support of this. I ended up donating as well, because it's a good cause. I mean, we may end up talking a little bit about this, but my mother is a Holocaust survivor. My father fought in the French Foreign Legion. My father was born in Iran, Tehran, in Iran. Ended up in French boarding school in Paris, joined the French Foreign Legion. Horrific experiences. My mother, Auschwitz for close to a year. Again, horrific experiences. All because, and you have your own story, which makes me really sensitive to bias, prejudice, to equal opportunity, or lack of it, to what's going on we say in the U.S., but it's all over the world. And some countries are definitely worse than others. Makes my heart ache. It makes me feel. You tell me what you think, Dune. But we live in one of the best countries in the world for this. Absolutely. Not perfect. And still inequality. There's still. I've experienced it as a little French Jewish kid growing up in a English Protestant school in a French Catholic province. Believe me, I've experienced bias and prejudice. I know it's there, but in the whole scheme of things, we're doing okay. And Canada is a pretty cool country. I think we're lucky to be living here. We're lucky to be raising our kids here. We are blessed and fortunate in all of those words. And why can we not open it up to more people? Very, very, very few of us are not immigrants. Very few. We're talking about, the indigenous people are the only non-immigrants who are here. Everybody else came from somewhere else. And, shame on us for not making those opportunities available to other people. There you go. That's my, you asked for it, Dune.
Wonderful story, my friend, and keep on doing what you're doing there.
Thank you.
We're going to get back to the one of your kind of pillar of your work, which is the kind of purposeful story. And I like to play a video. Maybe introduce this video. It's that your brain on storytelling. Give us a quick intro of that before I roll it here.
Well, 60 seconds, you know what? I think you could just roll it and just give some of the neuroscience behind storytelling.
You bet. Wonderful. Let me know if you can hear it.
Listening to a good story lights up the same part of your brain as does pleasure. Stories excite neurons that make dopamine. Yes, dopamine. Stories stimulate the creation of oxytocin, a hormone known as the love drug. It enhances feelings of trust, empathy, and generosity. Exactly what you'd want at the start of a job interview, sales presentation, keynote speech, team meeting, address of the nation, or company-wide presentation. From the beginning of time, stories are how we have passed on our values, made sense of the world, and affected change. Today, it's how we influence our customers, our teams, and our audiences. And it's how we get better results.
Yes.
Very
Thank you
cool.
for playing that little commercial, I guess.
Very cool.
60-second commercial. But really, it reflects the power of story. And I think a lot of people, storytelling has become a bit of a buzzword, blah, 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 all that stuff. People think it's cool. But a lot of people don't realize just how intrinsic it is to us as human beings. And there are, anthropologists and neuroscientists now suggest that it's our storytelling ability that has put us at the top of the food chain, because it is such an effective way of communicating our beliefs, our values, our lessons, how to use tools, what to do if a tiger attacks you, and what happened to the last person who didn't do that. Our bodies, like what this little 60-second clip doesn't do is answer the question. It says, yes, our brains create oxytocin and dopamine, and we dopamine, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a natural version of, good, some of those drugs that make us feel good. Oxytocin is what our brains give off, and when we are embrace our loved one, why does this happen? You have to ask yourself, why does this happen for storytelling? And the answer is because it helps our survival, because it's good for our evolution. People think that we have developed storytelling as a result of speech, but now they're saying, no. We think we developed speech because of storytelling, because we needed more complex forms to tell stories and share information. What's in the Western world, what's the absolute most popular book in the world? It's a collection of stories.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. And it's a bit of your life work, isn't it? Purposeful storytelling.
Right.
It's been probably occupying at least 2 decades, maybe more.
Yeah. And because once I started realizing that the story is the thing, the story is what helps us in business, helps us position ourselves in, for differentiation. That's where it started. But it also helps motivate, literally the troops, the team, the staff. It helps us persuade investors and purchasers and clients and customers. The story is everything. And I started digging into really breaking it down, like not just why it works, but how it works. What elements of story? Because there are some people who would believe that story is great for entertainment value, But those aren't and they're right, but
Mhm.
those aren't the stories I'm interested in.
Mhm.
The stories I'm interested in are the ones that are purposefully designed and crafted to have an impact, an effect on the listeners. Those are the stories that I care about, because those are the stories that are most powerful. Those are the stories that we use in business. Those are the stories that we use on ourselves for personal transformation. Those are the stories that really make a difference.
In other words, creating influence through story.
Creating influence. I mean, as a professional speaker, Dune, you
Mm-hmm.
know the term signature story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The signature story explains why we talk about the specific topic that
Yeah.
we talk about. Presumably, where does our passion come from?
Mm-hmm.
Trainers talk about turning point stories. Turning point story is a story that explains where I learned this key thing that you are now going to learn, that I'm going to teach you, and why is it important for you to learn it? Where does it make a difference in your life? Why should you care? All of these things. That's turning point story.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are the stories that give us credibility as influencers. These are the stories that have the greatest opportunity to influence the people that we are speaking to.
So I'm just curious. Tell us some of the larger sort of organizations you work with, and some of the smallest. On the both extremes. Would you like to share sort of an example of who you work with this purposeful storytelling? I know you speak to hundreds of people, thousands at some points, and also one-on-one coaching maybe as well.
Probably the biggest company I cannot tell you.
Right.
Many of the big companies I cannot tell you because they're NDA, but I've spoken, literally for worldwide companies, leaders in their brand. I'll just tell you, this one's a running shoe company. That's all I can say about it. I've worked for pharmaceutical companies to help their salespeople with storytelling. I've worked with, I think they're the largest retailer in the world, help their optical and pharmaceutical teams to learn storytelling so that they could better communicate. Storytelling is like a car. You could use it, to drive into people, and I hope you don't, or you can drive it to take people to where they want to go. They just don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And that's how I hope people view it. Incredibly powerful. And I've also worked with individual speakers crafting their signature stories to help them be more powerful on stage. I've worked with startups to help, especially for some reason, I got a lot of tech startup companies, and they need to get better at storytelling to get investors and to get customers.
Right.
So I don't know if that gives you a range, but you're right. Like from solopreneurs right up to the largest companies in the world.
What you said about it being such a powerful tool remind me of the joke that I sometimes tell my my students in my class. I would say something like, this is a very powerful tool, and powerful tools can be dangerous. And if you don't realize that, just watch a few episodes of Tim the Toolman Taylor, right?
Yeah.
Right? But you don't want to be saying, well, but tools are dangerous, therefore I'm just going to do everything without any tools. No, you just have to learn how to operate it safely and be mindful of the risk, right? So tell us, we're going to switch gear a little bit. Tell us more about Mo Monday for our viewers. So that would be like Mo is based on the word motivation. So motivation. Tell us about it. I'm going to queue up a video to share, but go ahead and introduce that.
All right. Yes, Mo Mondays started out as Motivational Mondays, but we realized two things. First of all, the domain wasn't available, so I had to change it. But also, actually, the motivational part of the name ended up being a negative, ended up being a detriment, because a lot of people would hear Motivational Mondays. Oh, yeah, well, I don't need any of that, motivational stuff. And the speakers who would be attracted to Motivational Mondays were the kind of speakers who just wanted to do your hackneyed version of, motivational speaker 101, which I didn't want. And so Mo Mondays came about because, with my interest in the business side of storytelling, and then realizing that everything boiled down to a personal story, I wanted to create a platform for people to share their personal stories. And when we share our personal stories from the heart, authentically, and that doesn't mean everybody needs to share and everybody needs to cry and none of that. No, it's not what I'm talking about either. But when we share it in an honest way, then not only does it have an incredible transformational effect on ourselves, but everybody else comes along for the ride. And I have seen people of every ethnic background. I have seen people of every.
I wanted to do a huge fundraiser, and so.
Oh, you're queuing it up. I know that voice. That's Stephanie Staples. Yeah.
The audience hasn't seen it yet, so just right. you heard it.
Yeah. I've seen people, and I've heard the stories of people of every single sexual orientation, every single ethnic background. I've seen all kinds of people share their stories on the Mo Monday stage, and I'll tell you this: when they share their story from that place that we're talking about, all the labels fall away. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Jewish, Catholic, Protestant, Hindu, Buddhist, doesn't matter. Gay, straight, trans, all of those labels fall away. And all the audience sees is human. And that is a beautiful thing. I think it's perhaps the most unifying thing. Interestingly enough, I was talking to a leadership coach who his background is in working in the high conflict regions of the world, like serious high conflict, where people, both sides come in with their AK-47s. And he says, one of the first things I do is I get them to share a story about them growing up as kids. And it creates an instant bond because we realize we're all the same. Anyway, you play that clip. I love this clip.
I'm going to get off the camera there and let's sort of have this look. All right.
So this comes from an episode of Mo TV, which we do every Monday evening.
Yeah. Let me know if you can hear it when I play it.
I will. Memorable moments.
We, as I said, it turned into like much of a variety show. So we had, in addition to the stories, in addition to the music, we have like a sort of an entertainment component. So we had aerial acrobatics, like with the whole drapes coming down and the people curling up. We had a deaf mime troupe, which was just out of this world. We had numerous of our shows translated is that the way we translate it? Interpreted into American.
Interpreted with sign language. I remember that. Yeah.
So those were really, really special moments.
Can you think of a big impact that you've had? Maybe it was on a speaker, maybe it was someone in the audience, maybe it was just in the community at large, other than these big, huge events that you think of.
Well, one of the things I kind of prided myself on is like, I'm a good like talent spotter and story finder. And so I talk to lots of people, I meet lots of people, I know lots of people. So I would kind of say, hey, I think, you would be great here. And they'd be like, no. And I would, when I knew that they had it, like I would stay on them literally for years. Like some people, like 4 years, and then before they finally took the stage. And nobody ever finished their story and said, oh, I wish I didn't do that. Everybody was like so grateful for the opportunity and so appreciative and so thankful. And, you know, just even developing their story, it's just it's a game changer for so many people. So that was one of the best parts for me, and what I really missed. Probably what I miss the most is giving people that opportunity to shine.
I have to tell you, that's one of my things as well. Being able, you know, there's somebody that you notice who keeps coming back over and over again, but they're quiet, and maybe they sit at the back and they try not to call attention to themselves. But I as the host, and I bet you as the host, I see them from stage, and, you know, tap them on the shoulder. I know I don't know you, but I know you've got a story.
And it means so much to them, like to be noticed and to be heard and to be believed in, because we have all had people that believed in us more than we believed in ourselves. So to be able to be that person for other people is really a treasure.
You know what? For the people who are watching and listening to this, if you want to put in the comments some memorable moment or an experience like that, that would be amazing. I can hear, and this is great to see, who's coming over the speaker of my SUV. Is that right? Did I read that right? I don't know. Okay.
So people listen to you from their SUV and from wherever, huh?
Wherever. So first of all, let me just tell you, that was Stephanie Staples, the same person who was in my kitchen with her ukulele, the very same person who called me up 6 months after I was doing Mo Mondays in Toronto and said, Michel, I want to do a Mo Mondays here in Winnipeg, and you're going to help me. And I said, no, I'm not. And she said, yes, you are. And I said, no, I'm not. And she said, yes, you are. And I said, no, I'm not. And she said, yes, you are. And I said, oh, okay. But if I help you, Stephanie, I'm going to build in something so that other people can do Mo Mondays. And she said, absolutely. And I'm going to help you. She is a rock star, not just in my life, but in many people's lives. I think she's one of the best speakers I've ever heard. She's one of the best storytellers. She's one of the most genuine people in the world. So there you go. That's for Stephanie. She hosted Mo Mondays Winnipeg for 5 years until she moved to Vancouver Island.
And that is where she met up with her new buddy, the Luke.
Yeah. No, yeah. Luke was in Winnipeg. Luke, her ukulele. Yeah, she had him in. I think maybe you're right. Maybe Luke. It was Ruby from Winnipeg and Luke in Victoria. That's right.
There you go. We love Stephanie. We love Stephanie Staples, and
we sure do, and for good reason.
Absolutely.
And if any company out there is looking for a speaker, you can not do better than Stephanie Staples. There's my plug for her. She's wonderful.
Yeah. She was out speaking to us in Calgary there with our Calgary speakers and caps there in Calgary. And we were all tearing up there as she shared her authentic stories, and just really, really awesome. So there's one of our viewers here is asking a question. Let me just display it here. It says, Patty says, want to do a live storytelling show? Would love to join. You probably have more of those already elsewhere already. Hey, Michel.
Hi, Patty. Oh, that's hilarious. Patty from Charlottetown or PI. Yeah, we should do a storytelling show. Well, you know what? Mo TV is going to morph into something. Mo TV is something that I currently host every Monday because we can't run live events. Now, it's not intended to be a replacement for Mo Mondays. And what I'm doing now is I'm interviewing all the hosts from Mo Mondays from across the country. And when I finish that, I'm probably going to go to some of the past Mo hosts, I think many of whom are just awesome. And I think I want to honor them and support them. So this is my way of doing that. But once we get past that, once we get back into a routine of running live events, then MoTV might just be might just bring in a guest storyteller once a month or something like that. So Patty, watch it. Watch it. Thanks for asking the question. Little bit of a nudge there.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Patty. Now, so by the way, Michelle, you have something tonight, right? Tell us about the event. Is it tonight or?
Well, tonight we're running a MoTV like we do every Monday night at 8 p.m. And tonight, in fact, we are interviewing the current Mo hosts from Toronto. So, which is kind of where it all started. Yeah. They took over from me not even a year ago. And they've been doing a phenomenal job, and they are three fascinating, interesting women, people who are their passionate is about changing the story around divorce, changing the perception around divorce, and they realized that storytelling can have a huge effect on that. So we're going to hear about that tonight, how they use storytelling for that, what their experience is for Mo Mondays, and yeah, very, very, very interesting people led by Bonnie Duarte. So really, really interesting.
Again, purposeful storytelling, which is what you've been doing for decades now. So more stories to come, I'm sure. Now, in many ways, as we all know, writing music is storytelling. Presenting music, in fact, music performance is storytelling. And if you look at the entire show that you are performing music, that is a story in itself as well. So this is all just converges in for you there, my friend.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've had some pro musicians who have been on thousands of stages around the world. And when they get out from behind their guitar or their keyboard, some of them, it's just like the act of storytelling, the performance of sharing a personal story is so different from something that you rehearse, and you do it over and over again. As some of them you could tell just like totally they're like fish out of water. But they inevitably tell me that by doing Mo Mondays, it stretches their own storytelling skill to become a better overall performer. For the same reason that, Long and McQuaid, which is, Canada's music store, asked me to run a workshop on storytelling for musicians. How do you introduce a song without running on forever? How do you explain the backstory of it? How do you get the audience just intrigued enough that they just can't wait for you to share your story, share your song? So yeah, it blends it all together.
You bet. It is the word that I keep thinking of is convergence. And you have been lucky with having done a lot of work over the decades, lucky enough to be able to converge, music and speaking and marketing and all the education that you have in a few different fields. You kind of merge it all together into something that really, really resonate with people. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit and just say, fly us through your website. Anywhere you want to go, here it is. I'm going to just go like that. Anything that you want to point out to our viewers who might be curious what you're up to with your work?
Oh, gee. You know what? I would just say go to the website and scroll to the bottom and read what other people have said about the work that they do with me. You go right down to the bottom, down to the bottom, right there you go. These are examples of people who have been in my workshops, people who have been in my training, event managers who have hired me for speaking engagements, people that I've coached one-on-one. And you just take a look at what they have said about the results that they've experienced as a result of purposeful storytelling. That one is Roseanne is a cooperative bank in Jamaica that I worked with. Nancy in Winnipeg for a not-for-profit healthcare organization. She's phenomenal. Nancy is phenomenal. She does incredibly innovative work. So yeah, so there, you'll find a mixed bag, but I would encourage people to take a look at those. They are testimonials, but the way I write testimonials like, I believe testimonials are like mini stories. And when I get a customer, client, or participant saying, Michel, could I give you a testimonial? I feel really strongly that 10 years from now, I want to know without any shadow of a doubt that that was a real testimonial. So I don't doctor them. I don't put words in their mouths. I said, you tell me what you want to say. I mean, yes, sometimes I'll edit it for grammar and stuff or shorten it, but I want to know that the testimonial is real, not for, people who are thinking of hiring me, but for me, because it's good for my own self-confidence. So I think the testimonials, and I teach a workshop on how to get and give good testimonials. In fact, if you go to my LinkedIn profile, I wrote a whole article on a company that asked me to do a testimonial for them and what impact it had on me to do that. So that's a cool article in my LinkedIn profile.
Wonderful. Hey, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to bring up some photos, and I want you, in a few seconds that each photo is flashing by, tell us about the photo. So just walk down memory lane a little bit. Now, these photos happen to be your stage photos, but I'm trusting that there'll be stories that you can think of right off the bat and just tell us a brief story. So here it is coming on. Can you see that there? And I'm going to take that away.
I can see that.
Tell us.
I believe I was singing at that one at momondays. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Momonday.
No, that's the one I was singing at. That's the one I was singing, not the one before. The one before I was actually speaking at momondays. That's right. This is the one I was singing at. Yeah. I have a collection of fake suits. This is me at a speaking engagement, which was a really, really, where I told the story. I remember this one. I told the story about the power of purposeful storytelling and the power of stories to reach across ethnic boundaries. I told the story about the first time I was asked to speak at a conference for immigrants and wondering, what am I going to tell them? What right do I have to speak to them? And it was my wife who said, Michel, tell them the story of how your parents came to this country. And I did. And it became a pivotal part of my career because that story is now my signature story. One of my signature stories. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Now, I presume you have a few minutes to spare here. You don't have another urgent meeting you have to rush off to across town?
Just got to prepare for MoTV and practice guitar and do some writing for a client.
So we got a few minutes. All right. So tell us about this one. A bit of a personality coming through there.
Yeah, that was a professional photo shoot where the photographer was just getting me to do all kinds of different faces. And, I don't know, there you go. Here I am. This is it. There's a serious side. I really believe in the power of storytelling to laser in and penetrate people's hearts and minds and souls. And so that's yeah.
You're looking deep into somebody's soul at that point.
There again, same photo shoot.
You got a little bit of a happiness there coming through, and
yeah, same photo shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like this one because it has got. I know you. They say in speaking you shouldn't be pointing, but that pointing. I love this photo.
I can't remember. I love that. That photo is one of my it's my little profile shots that I use over and over again.
Mhm.
You shouldn't be pointing. I don't know. I was probably saying, "Hey, you in the back row."
Did you hear that story about how President Clinton, ex-president, former President Clinton, how when they were coaching him, having come from being a governor there and into president role, they were coaching him not to point, but he just couldn't stop pointing. So they okay, now you keep pointing, but just sort of hold your fingers into a fist, and it doesn't seem. Apparently, that's the story behind how that particular motion that he does. But
wow, I didn't know that. It's a great one. I like it.
Yeah. So let's as we sort of round the corner.
This one just shows how much fun we have,
Mm-hmm.
and we can have, and how much fun I have on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I just, if there was any shot of me that puts me back in the zone of
Mm-hmm.
being on stage, it's this one.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing some of the thoughts around that. I'm going to ask you sort of just, as you said yes, when I reach out and say, hey, Michel, would you like to chat for an hour or so? And you said yes. Were there some other sort of stories or ideas or insights that you want to share with our viewers that we haven't gotten to yet?
Well, I will say one thing, something that I learned from music, from guitar, from
Mm-hmm.
learning guitar and ukulele. You've heard the expression, the definition of insanity
Mm-hmm.
is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You've heard that?
Mm-hmm.
And people spout it off as if it's just truth. And we spout off these aphorisms and proverbs as if they're unquestionable.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you, if there's one thing I've learned, is that yes, perhaps you need to be a little bit crazy to learn a musical instrument, but you have to do the same thing over and over and over again until you get a different result.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get that different result. Every musician in the world can remember that moment that they were able to strum or play and sing at the same time, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
or juggling, you juggle,
Mm-hmm.
and, you keep trying, you keep doing, you say, you got to keep at it. Whatever your goal is, there's the motivational part of me coming out. Whatever it is you do, you got to keep at it and persevere until you get the result you want. There.
So keep at it. So on that note, thank you so much for your time today. And you know what? We're going to have you say, kind of take us out. You can sing. You can do an a cappella if you like. You can summarize it in some ways. You can tell us some key words of wisdom. Take us out, Michel. Take us out.
Well, I just did.
I'm giving you a second encore, as it were. Is there an encore?
You didn't tell me this. Oh. I play for you some of my songs, but the only ones that are coming up for me are the ones that are slightly inappropriate.
There you go. And what's the name of this fellow? Is there a name?
I don't have names for that. I'd leave that for Stephanie to do. I'm just going to tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play you. You know what? Let's be brave here.
Yeah. Oh, he's reaching for the big one. There you go.
This is the song. I'm not going to play you the whole song. I'm only going to play you the chorus.
Absolutely.
Hang on.
The audience is excited.
Yeah.
They didn't know they were going to get live music in this deal as well.
I've got to find it. Hang on. Hang on.
Yeah, you go ahead and find it. And, I just want to summarize a little bit for our viewers. Here's a gentleman who it was kind of really deep into business early on, and really deep into professional speaking, and still is, and but have somewhere along the way have found a way to incorporate music again deep into his life, and doing gigs, and doing trio performances, and writing songs, and learning new instruments all the time, and starting to collect, musical instruments, which is a problem that many of us string instrument guys and gals seems to get into. Pianists don't seem to do that. I don't know.
So I'm not doing the whole,
Up to you. Completely up to you.
Million different battles lost and won. A million different hearts, and I'm in every one. Everybody's got a story, everybody's got a choice. I'm done saying I'm sorry, 'cause everybody's got a voice. This one's mine, this one's mine, this one's mine. There you go.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody. You've been
storytelling. I just wrote that a couple of days ago.
Fresh, still being revised possibly, but thank you for sharing with us that piece there, Michel. Again, thank you so much for your time on this hour here, and to our guests, take good care of yourself and take good care of one another, and until we meet again, have a wonderful day, folks.
Thanks, Dune. You're wonderful.
You are as well, Michel. All right, let's